Today, we'll be looking at Li-Ming, one of my favorite heroes in the entire game. She's a great reminder of why I got into Blizzard games in the first place, namely the Diablo series, and to help get into the spirit of things, I decided to revisit one of my favorite franchises. No, not that one. That would make sense. I went back, way back, all the way to Diablo. Did you know there's a freaking patch for this thing that adds new stuff? Because I didn't. Why didn't anyone tell me about this? There's new classes, new items, more control than ever before, and who the fuck is this? I'm getting distracted here. My point is this. Back in these days, the best way to fight was just to spam the ever-loving hell out of your spells. Rip through those enemies with reckless abandon. Your only cooldown is your own mana meter. Li-Ming is a lot like that. You can literally rip through scores of enemies, and your only cooldown? You kinda have to secure the... Damn it! This is the Heroes of the Storm Heroic Spotlight, and today we're looking at Li-Ming, the rebellious wizard.
My teachers always used to tell me that I was full of myself, but that can't be true. I can't get enough of me.
So as I said, Li-Ming is one of my all-time favorite characters to play in the Nexus. I love her look, I love her kit, but most of all, I love her personality. She's just so cocky and headstrong, like it's never even entered into her head that she could be wrong. It fits her to a T, and it has everything to do with her voice.
Your defenses are nothing. Danger is lurking nearby. I am so good, I astound myself.
Seriously, Great Lyle just makes everything sound so badass. It doesn't matter what it is.
I'm a whiz of a whiz. I mean, if ever a whiz there was, that is. Get it?
Well, I mean, most of what she says is pretty cool.
I love this glove's power. It's so bad.
Oh boy. Your passive is Critical Mass. Whenever an enemy hero dies near her, all of Li-Ming's cooldowns are refreshed. All of them. All of her cooldowns. It's like stepping back into the glory days with this passive, back before the need for balance or structure. You know, all the stuff we need now to keep us in check. And because she's a burst mage, it's so incredibly easy to proc it. All you need to do is hang back in a team fight and lob some spells towards the enemy, and if you score even one kill...
Alright, I guess this is the night bitches die.
Now the downside to such a powerful passive is you know her kit can't be too crazy, otherwise she just gets broken, and nobody wants that. Well, most people don't want that. Anyway, her Q is Magic Missiles. Li-Ming fires 3 shots towards a target area, each of which deal low to moderate damage to the first enemy hit, and it only stacks if you land all 3 shots. Now, it used to be that this ability made Little Mingy a devastating siege machine. She could generally have the towers in her lane drop before the first minion wave even showed up, but naturally that's not fair, so Blizzard slapped a 50% damage reduction on the spell whenever it hits a structure. It kinda worked. But seriously? Magic Missiles? That's the wimpiest spell ever. Everybody knows that. Hell, it's been mocked on the internet more times than I can count.
I'm casting Magic Missile. Why are you casting Magic Missile? There's nothing to attack here. I'm attacking the darkness.
What the fuck is going on in this clip? Whatever. They made up for it with her W, Arcane Orb. Oh yeah, now we're talking. Li-Ming hurls a huge ball of energy forward, dealing damage in a small radius to whatever it strikes first. This spell gathers power as it travels, and deals more damage the farther it goes, but only if it hits an enemy, so whatever you do, don't miss.
Granada!
Now here's where you can really start to sculpt Li-Ming how you want to play her. Between her Q and her W, there are several builds to consider. Do you want high burst or reliability? More range or getting up close so it's harder to miss? Through her talents, you can all but maximize her Arcane Orb to deal devastating damage to enemies. And honestly, that was the build I used to use almost exclusively. But you'll soon discover, much like I did, that such a build comes with a glaring weakness. Putting all your stock into your W leaves you incredibly open if something blocks your shot, or worse, if you just miss. Now this is the kind of thing that can be fixed through constant practice, but even still, skillful players will know what to look for, and the orb isn't exactly fast. Now don't let that deter you, because if you get good with it, a full build W will wreck just about anyone you hit with it, and what's even better, you'll be able to use it again and again to rain even more destruction. Essentially, you're trading reliability for damage, and as a burst mage, there are definitely worse things you could do. But if this doesn't grab you, let's have a look at her E. Li-Ming's final basic ability is Teleport, and it does exactly what you'd think it does. You use this to teleport a short distance. This is basically the Flash from League of Legends, only with, I think it's a shorter range. Either way, this is your only means of escape if things go awry. Or you can get creative and go on the offensive with it instead. With the Calamity talent, Ming gains another attack to her arsenal, being able to teleport up close to finish off low health heroes. Now this presents risk, but also reward with enough practice, and there are talents to augment the danger. With Dominance, you'll gain back 20% of your health with every takedown, and Diamond Skin provides a durable shield whenever you teleport for 4 seconds, allowing you to soak up any damage such a risky maneuver might draw in. Now as I said, before, I always stuck to the orb build, but in planning for the spotlight, I decided to branch out a bit and take a few risks. As you can see, the results can be surprising. Yeah, you couldn't do this with the W build. So taking the basics aside, what kind of talents do you give a girl who conceivably has no resets? Well, you kinda have to dial those back a smidge. Her first is Disintegrate. She channels a powerful beam of energy, dealing moderate damage over 2.5 seconds to any enemies caught within it. As Ming channels, you can change the direction of the beam by moving your mouse cursor. Now this is generally my heroic of choice, but not really for its damage. I mean, it doesn't really deal that much, and you have to maintain it over an enemy to get any real value out of it. But it does work in a utility sense. If an enemy is about to dive you, or an ally, this heroic might well scare them off. After all, while they're in it, their health is getting shredded down, and what's more, if they have to rush you into a melee, you'll be hitting them during their entire approach. Her other heroic is Wave of Force, and if you're looking for a disruption, then this is where you're going to want to go. Ming knocks away enemies from a targeted area and deals moderate damage to all caught within the blast. Now on paper, this sounds great, but once I started using it, I immediately recognized the problem with it. The range is garbage. Seriously, you can't take this thing anywhere. Unless you're already caught up in a melee that you need to break up, or someone is about to pounce on you, I just don't see the need for a heroic with such a tiny range attached to it. The only way I was able to make use of this was to take its buff at level 20, which doubles its cast range and adds even more to its knockback. Now, this is likely just due to a lack of practice, or maybe just because I'm crap, but without this buff, I just don't see the value. I hear it breaks up mosh pits though, so that's neat. Now, normally I try to round things off about this time, but Ming also has 2 other 20 talents that are worth mentioning. The first is Talrash's Elements, which grants all 4 abilities a 5% increase in power, which caps out at 20%. The catch? You can't use the same ability twice in a combo, so essentially this turns Ming from a press all the buttons until things stop moving kinda gal, to a combo-oriented skill-focused maid, and that's really cool. This talent actively encourages you to play smarter with your skill set, and I think that's definitely worth a mention. The other talent is Archon, Pure Power, and it grants Ming a form of pure energy, allowing her to cast Disintegrate repeatedly while in the form, but also renders her other abilities inaccessible. Now this is pretty cool just from the concept level up, and in execution it can be deadly in the right hands, but I gotta be honest here, I'm not a fan of using it. I prefer the variety of Ming's kit to just dealing out pew-pew laser beams of death. So that's Li-Ming, the arcane powerhouse in all her glory. She's a ton of fun to play and has insane snowball potential. While her passive does do a lot of the work, it's important to remember that all of her abilities are skill shots, so your own aim will be needed to eventually win the day. To that end, practice, practice, practice. I mean, we can't all be prodigies, right?
Magic has always come easily to me.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I can't believe we made it to 10 spotlights. That's awesome. I've gotten so much support since starting these that it's just impossible to stop. As always, be sure to share this video around and leave me a comment down below so I know what needs to improve. Check out my Facebook and Twitter for more updates on more Heroes of the Storm content, and drop into my Discord channel if you're looking to chat. I always appreciate a new face. So until next time, play smart, and I'll see you in the Nexus.